3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, rock.
Hello, my name is Bill Haley, and this is for Haley 2024, the Movement's Government Reform Ideas. So this video is going to be on what is the overall tax rate in this new system I'm creating, the CRA structure, over all the reforms I have. What is the percentage of government to GDP? And I just want to say how hard that is to answer. I like to answer going from about 40% to 10%, but it's a lot more complicated than that. About 100 years ago, we used to be, all government from city, state, and federal used to be under 10% of government to GDP. And it grew tremendously in the 20s to 30s under FDR, even more. And then 60s with the Great Society, it really went up to the 20s, 30s, and gaining into probably the high 30s. Then on 2020, it jumped probably over 50%, maybe momentarily, but they want to keep it up above 50%. And you can probably claim to be at 40%, but in a real sense, it's significantly above 40% right now. So this is October of 2021, and people are wanting to spend a lot more money. And it doesn't seem like there's a lot of pushback to go in the other direction. Well, I want to go down to about 10%. But I want to talk about how hard it is to answer that question, because it depends on so many issues. Definitional. Okay, let me show you what I have right here. This is overwhelmingly complicated because it depends highly on definitions. That is true with the current system as well. So I'm going to talk about that in a second. Monopolized government will be in charge of very little of the money in the new CRA structure. Very little for monopolized government. Competitive governance will compete for your business, and people will select where their government's coming from. A lot to go into it. Let's talk about some of the big issues. Social security. Is it spending or not? Government's not paying for government services there. They're giving people money without controlling that money. Welfare, Medicare, they're controlling a lot of that money, and there's a lot of control in that. So is that more government spending or not? Tax credits, is that government spending or not? A lot of people will say one way or the other. They'll take both sides of that issue. Welfare, is that government spending? In a lot of people's minds it is, but they're not getting government services for that, unless you want to say providing for the poor is government services, which is a bad way of doing it. I switched to a charity model. In my model, you have to give to a charity, but you select what charity you want to give to, and there's a lot to that. But is that government spending or not? Roads. It's one of the things that they can truly call an investment that government does. And it does have a user fees with road taxes, gasoline taxes and the like. And that's partly going into investments and road taxes. But is that government spending or not when we use a user fee? Foreign aid, is that government spending? In some ways it is. Some ways you don't want to call it. Police and soldier is a common way of saying something's government spending. You're getting government services of police protection or protecting from foreign foes. So here's all 30 sectors, and you can go through each sector and have a debate whether it's government spending or not government spending. And even with my system, you have to pay 5% of GDP to go towards helping the poor, and 5% of GDP has to go towards the military. You do have mandatory that you have to have a police contract, but is that government spending if you have a private sector contract with a police company to provide police services? There's accountability over police. There's certain regulations over police to make sure they're not going outside of the realm of they have to be educated, they have to be trained, they have to have internal affairs, they have to have accountability and oversight. And there's a board that authorizes their badge and can take that badge back away. So there's a lot of government in there, but that's not government control so much. So what's government spending versus not government spending? At least 10%, but then you have everything that government's currently doing. I kind of force the subject, you're mandated to do it within the free enterprise system or within the competitive governance. So that's a very difficult question to answer, but I want to have it out there on this video how difficult that question is. And every one of those things can be debated on whether it's government spending or not. And what we're doing with tax credits or earned income credits or child tax credits or education is education tax credits, education spending. In my mind, it is. A lot of people won't say it is. They say it's a tax cut. I don't think tax credits are considered tax cuts. So there's a lot of issues there. So anyway, 5-minute video on that one subject, saying how hard it is to answer that one question. And until the next video.